Okay, next we're going to mix shades. Shades are dark versions of a color, and with the tints, which were the light versions, the process was to add some color to white. So we started with white and added a little bit of color. With the shades, we're going to do the opposite. We're going to start with a color and add just a little bit of black, because black is a powerful pigment, and a little black goes a long way. But notice on this first one, on the shades, or the tints rather, we just did tints of the primary colors, yellow, blue, and red. The shades, I'm asking you to do the secondary colors, which are green, orange, and violet. So we're going to have to mix those. In order to mix secondary colors, we want to use roughly equal amounts of primary colors. I say roughly equal because some pigments are stronger than others, and it may be, you know, closer to 60-40 to get the right balance, etc. But let's just do this with roughly equal. Now I know this comes with a green, but I want you guys to mix your green. So I'm going to start off by, I've got clean brushes. I don't want to cross-contaminate colors into other colors. So with my clean brush, I'm going to pull out a little pile of yellow, maybe a couple little piles. And I could either clean that brush, or I've got another brush over here I'll just grab. And to what mixes with yellow to make green, it's blue. So I'm going to pull out a little pile of roughly the same amount of blue as I had there. That's pretty close. So now I'm going to go ahead and mix these to make my secondary color of green. So there's green, and when I mix it, I can kind of drag this and squeeze and kind of make a little pile to work with. Regular acrylic paint out of tubes is a little bit thicker than this paint that is in this little kit, but I didn't have all the money in the world to spend on it to get you a tube set, so here, this is what we have. But we can mix paint. We mix the secondary color. Now, to make shades, again, we're going to start with the color, and we're going to add just a little bit of black to color, just a little bit. So I'm going to get, I might even use a smaller brush so I can really get a teeny tiny dot. Again, use clean brushes when you do new colors. Clean brushes when you do new colors. So I'm going to get just a little dot of black. Might even spread it out over here so I can make sure. So I'm going to take this tiny little dot of black and mix it in here. And that green's just a little bit darker now. I didn't start with pure green. Oh well. How about nearly pure green? Now, I need to keep working with the black, so I'm going to take this clean brush and pull out a little pile of black to work with. There we go. That should be good. Rinse that off. A lot of times people leave their brushes sitting in the water, but that will damage your brush over time and start to warp it and curve it. So I like to rinse it off and lay it down flat. So I'm going to add another little dot of black here. Gets a little bit darker. Another dot of black. A little bit darker. And we're going to do this until we get all the way across to a pure black. So these are shades that I'm making. Think about, you know, how if you're in the shade, you're in a darker space. So we're making things darker by starting with the color and adding a little bit of black to it. Gradually making our way darker. So this is a value scale. almost black there. So from nearly pure green to nearly pure black. It's a gradual change in value there. Not super dramatic, but there it is. Okay. Now black sometimes doesn't make colors very pretty, but when you're painting a painting and you do some of these things, colors that aren't very pretty can be important for making other prettier colors stand out. We'll talk more about that when we get into a painting. So for the next tint, I'm mixing orange. So again, with a clean brush, make sure that's clean. Use a little clean water after that first rinse to make sure that's clean. To mix orange, we're going to mix yellow and red. So I'm going to pull out a little pile of yellow to work with. And with either a clean brush or a different tool, pull out a little pile of roughly equal amount of red to work with. That looks pretty close. Now I'm going to mix those two colors to make my orange. So this is an example here. That looks more like a red orange. This is an example here where the red's just a much more powerful pigment. Pigment is the minerals and materials that are in the paint that give it its color. So it's a really powerful pigment. So I'm going to add a little bit more yellow to this mixture to make it a little more orangey. Again, with a clean brush so we don't cross-contaminate. There we go, that's a better orange, I think. So now I've got my orange here. Still a little red-orange leaning, but we'll work with it. Maybe scoop it up into little piles. So I have that color to work with. All right, so now I'm gonna start with pure orange on one side. And I'm going to add just a little bit of black gradually. Ooh, that had a big jump there. A little bit more black each time, so that it gets darker and darker. And if you mess up and need to redo anything, just remember that once the paint dries, you can paint over the top of it with no problem. So there are shades of orange there. Last one I'm going to do, I want to start with clean brushes again. Rinse those off, wipe them on my paper towel. So the next one I'm going to make is violet. And violet is the mixture of roughly equal amounts of red and blue. So I'm gonna pull out my little pile of blue here, and I guess I'll put that right there. And I've got a clean brush here. I'm gonna pull out a roughly equal pile of red. Go ahead and mix those, see how that looks. Again, this red is pretty powerful. So it's closer to a red violet than a true violet. So it looks like the strongest pigment in this paint set's the red. So maybe ease up a touch when you mix the red into things. It's pretty red. But I'm going to use this brush. It has a little blue left in it. I'm going to get a touch more blue and mix that in to get more pure violet. Now, since violet is already inherently a darker value than these other colors, I'm going to put just for fun, a touch of white in there so I can lighten this before I darken it so we can see the color a little bit better. There's just a little change there, but there we go. That's a nice pretty violet color. So I'm going to start with the pure color. So I mix the violet, and again the same thing, just a little bit of black, a little more black, my hand's kind of falling asleep, getting carpal tunnel in my old age. A little more black, a little more black, so making shades of violet here. And I'm going to take my clean brush because, again, we don't want to put a bunch of different colors inside these paint canisters we have. We don't want to cross-contaminate the colors. And I'm going to get just a touch more black to finish this up. So there we go. A scale of violet. So green, orange, and violet going from the pure color to nearly black. That's how we're going to do that.